Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues and members of this ad hoc committee. I'd like to call this special investigative committee on the alleged budget alteration hearing to order. I will now ask the co-chair, Senator Nimler, to welcome our guests who are here to follow this hearing.
Thank you, Chair. Distinguished senators, ministers of the Ministry of Finance and the Executive Branch, our journalists, secretariat, I want to take this time to welcome you to this special hearing. We need your undivided attention. This is just a fact-finding investigation. So we need your undivided attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Co-Chair. The next item is self-introduction. We're supposed to start with the guest of the minister is back. So we'll turn the floor over to the guest to introduce the team from the Ministry of Finance. After that, senators will introduce themselves. Thank you.
You can be right there, right in the middle there.
10 minutes. You're putting down.
Minister, the floor is yours to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Senator. Members of the special committee and members of the Honorable Library Senate. I'm Anthony G. Myers, Deputy Minister for Fiscal Affairs and Acting Minister of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. For the purpose of this hearing, I will be subsequently joined by the Deputy Minister for Budget and Development Planning, our Bromson. We were on the Capitol grounds earlier around the appointed time, but we understood that the session, improved session for some other purpose, so she will be joining shortly.
Thank you very much. Senators, we can start from the back and then we'll come to the front. So, thank you.
My name is Roger Dupuy. I'm going to like this content. Francis Local, Senator Priest, and Moy Sanchez, and Mon County. My name is Lower Brown from Northern County. Can I call this all of me county?
Senator James Bynum, member of the committee.
I'm Abraham Douglas Delo, represent Montreal County.
Senator Amara from Buffalo County.
Senator Bodu Kane Buffalo County.
Senator Secure, Sarkande, member of the committee.
Senator Blooming Batekwa, Grey County, member of the committee.
What is, but complete is?
Senator Thomas Yaya Nemle, co-chair of the committee for Grand.
And my name is Senator Taba Mapande Fatla. I chair this ad hoc committee. I represent the people of Grand Cape County. We were, for the purpose of this hearing, because some people will be presenting and there will be question and answers, we will now invite the Sergeant Aunt for a minister of oath to those people. The minister and some of our colleagues who will be speaking to some of the issues. So we invite the chair on Ways, Means and Finance, Honorable Prince Kevin Moy of Bon County. We invite Senator Dopo, who is the secretary on the committee. We also invite our colleague from Bakulu, Senator Amara Kone. We want to also invite Senator Nathaniel Falomake for the oath. Thank you.
Chair.
We will propose also just people who made this statement to take over.
So we have to wait the seat.
We missed it. So the statement will be making.
You cover all with your whole
The secretary, please. The secretary of the Senate.
Yeah.
Right.
We have our sweat. Testimony I'm going to give. Is the truth. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
I'm chair and member of the Agro Committee on the alteration budget.
Alleged. They're not like you always out for that work. Thank you very much. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda today is the purpose of this hearing. Distinguished colleagues and the officials from the Ministry of Finance, the Liberian people, it has been over a period of time that the news has been filled with accusations and allegations of budget alteration since the passage of the 2024 budget. The Senate has been concerned. In January, when the Senate took oath, under the leadership of Senator Yombi Kanga Lawrence Protem, the Senate collectively agreed to be as transparent as possible in doing the business of the people of Liberia. It is in our vein that the Senate unanimously voted to carry out a system audit of the Senate. It is in a same vein that upon the return of the pro tem Senator Yomi Kanga Lawrence, she constituted a special ad hoc committee to investigate the continual allegations of budget alteration. So we have come here today. I know it is unprecedented to have the Senate investigate itself and to have ranking members taking oath to speak to this issue. But this only demonstrates the extent to which we are prepared to run the business of this Senate transparently in the interest of good governance. Having said that, the budget process is usually headed from the Senate side by the Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget Committee. From the executive side, you see the Ministry of Finance. It is in that vein that we call these relevant officials to speak to the issue, the allegation of budget alteration. So today, even though it is a concern of every member of this 55th Senate, but there are key people who have been pushing and you've been hearing them on the radio and on Facebook and the rest of it. So the procedure here today, we'll listen to them. We'll listen to the Senate Secretary, who is responsible for transmittal of documents. We'll listen to the acting Minister of Finance, who also is a key person in the executive, the lead person in the executive for budget formulation and implementation. So I just want to provide some information on housekeeping. Senator Amara Kone has requested that he will do a presentation via projector, and the committee, along with our colleagues here, have agreed that that be the case. Howbeit, we want to urge him that the presentation should be not more than 10 minutes, because after that, Senator Nathaniel Mage will be speaking, the Secretary of the Senate will be speaking, followed by the Minister, to give us sufficient time so that we can ask all the necessary questions to establish the facts around this issue. We don't want to take all the time for presentation. So I will ask you, colleague, to please give us the facts within a relatively short period of time. This is in no way asking you to leave some of the facts out. Let's just hit the facts as you saw it, as you determined it, to allow us to go into this discussion. Having said that, the floor is now yours. We will listen to you after that, followed by Senator Mage, and then the Secretary of the Senate. In our order, they will move on to the Minister of Finance, and then Ways, Means, and Finance. Thank you.
Madam, 1 minute.
Yeah, please.
The Ways, Means, and Finance was the one that did the work and did the transmittal. You don't think our presentation should be fresh, upon which all the quote-unquote alteration issues are?
Madam Chair, 1 minute, can I come in?
Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. So we have.
It's okay.
We have the floor now.
We have agreed as a committee. We have agreed as a committee to allow Senator Kone to do the 10 minutes presentation, and then we have you come before the Senate Secretary. Please, let's allow that, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, can you
You put it in start mode. No, click that button right there. That one right there.
I switch.
Take that. The one right there. What happened? Okay. Well, we lost. Good. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members, colleagues, for the opportunity to present on the alleged budget alteration. I will do it within 10 minutes. And I'll go slowly. Please click. First, we want to establish the legislative authority and responsibility over the national budget. It begins with Article 34D of our Constitution, then Section 20 of the Amendment and Restatement of the Constitution of 2009, and then, of course, Section 23 of the Same Act, which gives the legislature the authority to modify and approve the supplemental budget, meaning that all appropriations, the highest decision-making body is plenary. No single person can change the budget number without coming to plenary. Next. So, budget. And then we were able to identify 45.6 million from domestic debt by seeking for the deferment of the redemption of treasury notes as long as we will service the interest and other charges.
Madam Chair, sorry, if I may request, I may ask, Mr. President, do you have copies to be?
No, I can give it to you later on.
Okay, give it later.
Just take notes.
Yes, please take note. I didn't have much time. So we're able to identify that as a group, negotiated with the bank, they accepted our proposal, and then there was this issue of the IMF program. We talked to the IMF, they said as long as we finance the charges and the interest, that was no problem. That's how we're able to get the additional resources, which we discussed in our leadership meeting with the president's suggestion for how this money. That's the president's handwriting their signature on the 29th, a day before we voted on the budget in this plenary, right there. Next, based on the president's request, the legislature adjusted the budget and put that money into these priorities. They're not exactly what the president asked for, but the president's sectors were factored in. This is the legislative adjustment before the voting. Next. So, the House of Representatives approved the budget here, transmitted this to the Senate by the adjustments I just showed you that were back right there. Okay, you see 46.4 million right there. And this is the approved budget we voted on concurrent with the House of Representatives right here. This is the Budget Act, this column right here. You see this column? Go back, that's it. What the president sent to us was 279.1 for public administration. We adjusted it by 2.6 million. We voted on 276.5. And then the Budget Act is showing 257.3. That's the first alteration. The second alteration is the budget book 256.7. Two alterations right there. For a total of 19.1 million out of public administration. Municipal government, the president requested for 26.7. We adjusted it by 6.3 million. We gave the president additional money. And we voted on 33.1. The Budget Act is showing 35.7. And the budget book is showing 35.797. The Budget Act is showing 35.756. You can see the variances in the number. That's another alteration there. And then security and the rule of law. President asked for 96 million. We adjusted it by 9.7 based on that handwritten note. And then we voted on 105. The Budget Act is showing 107 increase that did not come to plenary. And then the budget book that the Minister of Finance is executing right now is 108, different from 105 that we approved in this fall. Health, 75.5, President request. We adjusted it by additional 5 million. We approved 80.5. Budget Act is showing 80.1, 200, and then the budget book is showing 80.1, 200. You know, you can see that that's the same. They didn't change it in the act and the book, but the one that we approved, they took $400,000 from the health sector there. Okay, when our hospitals don't have enough money. Then social development. The president asked for 12.3. We adjusted it by 13.8. We pushed it to 26.1. In the budget act is 28. In the budget book it's back to 26. So these are all different numbers we see here. Education, 105.9 from the president. Additional 3.6, 109.5, 57. Budget Act 109.582, different numbers. And then budget book, 111.329. Even though it's up, but it's over. Energy and environment. The president asked for 18.2. We gave him additional 1.3. We passed here, we voted on 19.5. And then budget act 25.2. Budget book 26.3. 3 different numbers.
We are almost exhausted.
Yeah, that's fine. So I just want to show, I will give you this. All the numbers change from what we voted on here and what is printed in the act and in the book. Next. Push it back and do it quickly so before they hit the gavel. Okay. Go back. The exhibits here are in the budget book. This budget book right here. Everybody has it. This is the budget law. This budget law is on page I of the budget book, right here. This is the vice president's signature. This is the secretary of the Senate signature. This is the speaker of the House signature. This is the House clerk signature. It's on page Roman number 2 in the budget book. Then this number right here is the number in the budget act that is different from what we approve here. This is on page Roman number V in the budget book, public document. I just wanted to show these exhibits in the budget book. Next. Quickly. Now, this is the budget book. Page Roman number XX1I in the budget book, which is here, that supports the spreadsheet I showed you, where the numbers in the budget book is different from the act and also different from what we approve on here. Next. So basically, when we made this case, we said there could be 2 scenarios for this. One, it could be that some members in the legislature made those changes without coming back to their committees, the higher decision-making body on appropriations, or people in the executive branch may have changed these numbers. And I think that's what we wanted to establish until it got out of control. Then finally, my last slide here is, go ahead. We made these recommendations on July 6th here to make sure that we solve these problems without putting the legislature into public disrepute. They were ignored. Thank you very much.
The next person we want to hear from is Senator Madier.
Please, your mic.
I'm sorry. Senator Madier, please. And I want to ask us if Senator Connell has presented some of the data. In the interest of time, just say what is left. Thank you.
You're on the light.
So we need to remember what the Cohen said, the higher decision making body of the legislature is dependent on April 30th. And one of the things that the Cohen said, I have in the actually, maybe Senate can justify this. But I have the concurrent letter written by Senate, which was drawn on the 10th of April and communicated to when people back on May the 1st. On May the 1st. On May the 1st, maybe somebody can testify to this to see what he wrote in the letter. But the Senate concurrent approval on the central level. And the budget vote is completely different from what Senate voted the Speaker of the House indicated the Senate concurrent. I think I gave each Mokabe, you see the difference. Now, there are a few issues that we have to specifically mention. On the 30th of April, we voted major internal affairs, for instance. And then, the Senate can prove me wrong. I don't know anywhere in our discussion that we ever discussed making allotment of major internal affairs. The original allotment for major internal affairs was 20 million. But after the budget was approved, the budget board, the current allotment is part of 25 million. So who approved that additional 5 million to major internal affairs? We need to establish that. The points that are going to be made when you get reference to the authority of the legislature, it's not for a few members of the Senate or a few members of the legislature to go inside and allocate resources to the institution. I give an example. Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. What we know is that when we were discussing in the Senate competition room, presided by the president, there were $200,000 given to the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. But in the end, we saw 1.2 billion, additional 1 million now given to Post and Telecommunication. The same as Ministry of Transport, additional 1 million. So who authorized these allocations? Is that the question? Who authorized the allocation? Now you can see the difference in the Senate approval is completely different from the budget that was printed. And we will show that the different exhibit. You can see that the committee member has that. So when we say the budget was manipulated and shifted unauthorized, these are the points we are making. So we can go on mutual information. I don't have any knowledge. Maybe the committee on with the can say mutual information. I don't have any knowledge. It was not mentioned. I voted here. I say I voted. It was not mentioned. Look, Senator Prince Johnson University. 150,000 we debated and we voted on it. So what made Prince Johnson University different from other universities? The entire Senate voted on Prince Johnson University. When it came to Sierra Leone Hospital, it was debated, we voted on it. So if we vote on Prince Johnson University, why did the Senate vote on other universities? I can go on and into a million universities that receive money that nobody, my church organization don't have idea about. How the budget, who allocated money to that? And when you go and when you go in your budget book and see the adjustments, for instance, the adjustment on education is $3.6 million. When you go in your budget book, you find education gets 2.7. University of Labrador get additional $1 million. So it may above the adjustment. Then plus other universities that money was allocated to. And far beyond the legislative adjustment. These are budget manipulations unauthorized by the legislature. when we're making these references that the budget was authored, because we're saying that what we approve as a body is not what we see in the budget book. So somebody has to explain it, whether our Minister of Finance, whether our police, that the reason why this investigation is important to establish what went wrong, who did what authority people had to alter the budget, to appropriate resources to institutions, with all the explicit approval of this House of Body. So, Madam Chair, when I've already given most of the things that I had, and if you read the report I gave you, most of the exhibits I gave you, they made reference to most of the exhibits. So, whatever people record in budget, whatever the budget will not record, but most of the appropriations that were made were not appropriation authorized by this August body. And the budget that was published, it is inconsistent with simply letter. And Madam Chair, once a way to testify to the letter. To testify to the letter. Okay, the way we signature. Or made a question. Somebody know that?
No, I don't think you feel everything.
That's
One of some of the issues, so just go ahead and finish your time.
Yeah,
Please.
but to make a testify to the letter, you see what you want to know, because this is a letter addressed to the Speaker by the authority of the Senate on May the 1st. On May the 1st. This letter addresses the Senate. Now, this is the final decision. And this decision is consistent with the House's decision. I have a letter with important signature on it. The important signature on it, on the letter, because it's a promise on the important. Any letter she received before it appears on the Senate agenda, she has to initial that letter for signature. And you see your signature here. You see here. This is the important signature. And if somebody wants to doubt, this is the important signature. It's consistent with the Senate concurrent Senate approval. So these are the arguments we are making on project. So I will my chair and member of the Senate. So we need clarification to establish what went wrong. How is it that the decision of the Senate, the decision of the legislature is completely different from what is written in the budget? So this is our key we are making. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Marquez, for staying with me your time. We'll now give the floor to Senator Prince Gamboy, Chairperson on the Business and Budget Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, distinguished committee members and senators here, and the acting minister, the deputy minister. Thank you. Madam Chair, on April 2nd, 2024, the plenary of the Liberian Senate voted that the national budget for fiscal year 2024 be conducted by a joint legislative committee comprising of the Ways, Means, Finance Committee of both the Liberian Senate and the House of Representatives, with an amendment to include the Public Account Committee of the Liberian Senate. We have Exhibit 1, the letter from the Secretary of the Senate transmitting this mandate to us, and also forwarding to us a letter from the President. And the same thing, they said the President has to approve it. That's our Exhibit 1. We make copies for everybody. Consistent with the decision of plenary, the Joint Committee of the Legislature conducted vigorous and thorough scrutiny of the draft budget for fiscal year 2024 for the period of 1 month. The Joint Committee reviewed the revenue proposals as presented by the President of the Republic of Liberia to derive additional fiscal space for appropriation. At the conclusion of this public hearing, the Joint Committee met on April 28, 2024 with the Minister of Finance and Development Planning. In this meeting, the team previously formed by the legislature to negotiate with the Bankers Association for the rollover of the domestic debt presented a briefing to the Joint Committee. In this briefing, the lead negotiator, and like he alluded to it, Senator Amara Kone, indicated that the IMF and the Bankers Association were inclined to roll over the domestic debt principal payment of 40 million United States dollars to 2025. However, the MFDP, that is the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, was reasonable only to 20 million. Due to this contrary view of the MFDP, the Joint Committee requested that the debt negotiation team should further engage with the executive and the Bankers Association for a final, approval. So we have the exhibit here on the 28th of April. We are sitting in the conference room with all the senators. This is Representative. This is Sibo.
Should I put on the screen?
No, I didn't count ready for. Yeah, the exhibits are here. We are in the 28th. We find the senator made a post on his Facebook page, and thanking us about the work. It was on a Sunday, so we'll have that to the press. Meanwhile,
The committee or the press?
no, release it, please, man.
Oh, please.
Meanwhile, because the legislature has only 2 days left for its break, and given that the total budget envelope will remain at 738.8 million. Please get that clear. We have 2 days left, and whatever adjustment that was going to be made, the envelope is going to remain at 738.8 million. Whatever the debt deduction will be, the Joint Committee concluded that the House of Representatives should proceed with its pending final decision from the negotiating team. So there's the exhibit that the House transmitted the budget to us under the signature of Major Sion, the Chief Clerk. And the budget that they transmitted, the ceiling is $738.8 million. So nothing changed from the House. Nothing changed from the House on this transmitter. It's the same $738.8 million. So there is the House transmitter of the budget. I want to be clear. They passed the budget with the inclusion of only $20 million from the debt reinstatement. While we're in negotiation, the team from the Finance Ministry was not inclined to remove the over $45 million. They were only, agreeing on considering 20 million. So since the final judgment was not made, the House went to work and passed it on the attachment of the 20 million. I want us to be clear with that. And when the House passed the budget, normally, that's why the House passed. Only sector allocation. There's no detailed budget working paper here. And nobody signed on this thing.
Can you read the second number?
No, the second number will come. They passed it, I'll come there. They passed it on 738 with the adjustment of only 20 million. The team from Ministry of Finance and Development Planning are here. The team here. So they will they will speak to what all we're saying here. That was Exhibit 3. The president of Liberia met with the speaker and the president pro tempore to consider moving 40 million from the domestic debt to other priorities. So get that clear. After we have considered only the proposal from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning by telling us it will be risky, it will move 40 million of 45 million from the domestic debt. So only 20 million. We said, okay, since we have an agreement from you, the technicians of 20, the whole going to occupy the budget on the 20 million. Then there came now the last negotiation with the president that he proposed the movement of the 40 million now that I agreed upon on the 28th. On the 29th, the president sent us a proposal with his signature on it, distributing $40 million from the debt. So, if the president sent a proposal of $40 million from the debt, but the House at the time of passage had only considered 20 million of that 40 million. The president, having recognized that he's a former presiding officer of the Senate, he knew that the budget was still with the legislature. And he also knew that we were discussing the budget as a joint committee. So he made a proposal with the presence of the speaker and that of the pro tem. And the minister will testify to that. And that meeting was held at the President's house on a Saturday before he sent us formally this document for the reduction. So when we received this, as I said before, on April 30th, 2024, the Liberian Senate in session concurred with the House of Representatives budget number of $738.8 million. So listen to me. We concur with the House of Representatives budget number of $738.8 million, considering that an additional fiscal space of $97 million was created. 46 from the regular revenue hearing that we had. And I don't know why maybe the senator forgot that we created two different spaces. One, as a result of the revenue hearing, the legislature identified $46 million. So if you take $46 million and shift it $45 million, you're talking about $97.02 million space that we have. So obviously, sector enrichment will change. And let me say this, he said it rightly, when the president wrote us through the vice president to the pro tem, it means that the money that came on debt, 40 million was now sent to the legislature. So the president's decision now was not secrecy. It was not. So the committee, joint committee, looked beyond just what the president wrote on the paper. And the committee took into consideration other priorities, other national priorities. And we're here, we read some of the figures. In this president's request, there was nothing like the AFL, considering the AFL for $2 million, nothing. But we had a process, we had a problem where the AFL wives were packed everywhere here. This, our chairman led a delegation to the barracks to talk to the AFL wives to see what were some of their concerns. And through that concerns, as a national leader, not only that the president said this priority list, we said, no, we have other concerns. On top of the president's concerns, we are the people's senators and representatives. We have to look beyond. And $2 million were appropriated. Was that something that was not read in this section? About that, we also saw that
the judiciary money that came in the draft was cut drastically. So we didn't go by exactly what the president had presented. The joint committee took a decision to send $3 million additional United States dollars to the judiciary. Was that money that Moise sat down or whatever, was it not read in here? Is it part of this constraint for the president? No. Besides that, disasters agency got another $1 million plus. So I can go on naming.
Senator Moise got 2 more minutes.
Yeah, naming everything that we did here. So nobody sat in the corner and decided to do budget as it has been presented in the public. So after we did that, on May 1st, we passed on May 30th. On May 1st, the Secretary of the Senate transmitted our decision to the House of Representatives, to the Speaker. And this is the committee report. All 14 senators of the Ways and Means signed this report. And I said all 14 senators. At that time, Nima Kante had not joined the Liberian Senate. All 14 senators. And one thing I want us to know, when budget is passed at the sectoral level, there's always a budget working papers. Sectoral level is meant to classify a group of ministries or agencies under one sector. So if you went and adjusted each ministry or agency under a sector, obviously that sector may increase or it may be adjusted downward. So the budget working paper that all of us sign on, there's a joint committee report. And the Senate work, when you work jointly, it means that when you're finished with that joint committee report, each chamber's committee comes back to their chamber and report. So when we discuss on the 29th and pass on the 30th, all of us on that joint committee will initial the final budget working paper. This Honorable Jason Sibo signature on all the pages in our budget book that you have. On the numbers that we send, there's my signature, there's Senator Honorable Nambo's signature. So all of the copy in our budget book that you have will tell you that the budget committee, as represented by Honorable Jason Sibo, was made to initial all the copies. These are all the copies. All the copies in the law. From the law, then you have the budget working paper. So those of you that don't know the budget working paper, this is the budget working paper. This paper shows pass, ministry or agency or any other appropriation the legislature deemed it necessary, whether it's coming from the House of Representatives or the Senate. It is a combined hearing. So there are priorities that the House of Representatives had, and they brought it on this side. All the priorities that they had, the House had, all the priorities the Senate had, it is combined in the budget working paper. And who represents the House on that budget committee is Senator Honorable Jason Sibo. These are all his signatures, his initial on all the budget working papers.
Thank you, Senator.
So we'll get it to the relevant board to take it.
Thank you.
Nothing happened that the House is not aware of. That's why we initial all the papers, and the team from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, they were in the middle of all this discussion. And they will tell us exactly, this is not a budget working paper that Honorable Jason Sibo and myself, along with the Secretary of State, initial, and then it was translated on the 7th. And then the president signed it on.
Thank you, Senator. I'm sure there will be questions for some of the details you have been provided by that time. Thank you. So we want to now hear from the Secretary of the Senate on this transmittal, approval, reception of documents between the two houses and the executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
the members of this committee. First of all, I would like to read a portion of our rules. Under Rule 51, Section 2, messages from the Senate shall be sent to the House of Representatives by the Secretary of the Senate, who shall previously certify the determination of the Senate upon all bills, joint resolutions, and other resolutions which may be communicated to the House, or in which the Senate's concurrence may be requested. I come at this time to present the following documents. The communication from the President of the Republic of Liberia dated March 12, for the submission of the draft national budget for fiscal year 2024 to the National Legislature. This communication was placed on the floor on 4/2/2024, signed by the President pro tempore. While we all know that under the provisions of the Constitution, budget hearings must start, or revenue must start from the House of Representatives, and upon the mandate from plenary that the two committees should work together, whether for the House of Representatives to present first. I received a letter from the House of Representatives. As you know, it was like hurry. Dated April 25, 2023. The date here is April 25, 2023. Addressed to the Honorable Liberian Senate. Our Horses in Growth Bill. And I will approve the national budget for the fiscal period beginning January 1, 2024. This letter is dated April 25, 2023. And they are telling us that the above mentioned bills were passed into the full force of the law by the Honorable House of Representatives on Monday, April 29, 2024. I repeat. Yeah, please. This communication is dated April 25, 2023. 2023. From the House of Representatives. 2023. And then they were informing us that on April 25, 2023, that they have passed the budget on April 29, 2024 at 14:50 GMT. There was no figure in their publication. Let me come in first. When they sent this one, it was without the budget because we were closing the same day, which is the 30th. So they sent this one in a hurry. I'm sure that in a hurry that is why they say 2023. But I say it's 25th. I said, why is on the 25th of April? I'm sure that was the mistake because of hurry. Okay. I don't speak for them, but I'm sure it was a hurry. And this communication was initiated by the President pro tempore. The only thing they sent along was this one, the engrossing. Why they said they were working, stay on the budget. And they were closing that same day. This is what they said. This is what they said. And the President pro tempore initiated only this one. Because if they would have sent an attachment with the budget, the President pro tempore, I know that she initiates every sheet, every document with a confirmation for anything to, or even communication from the President, with a file sheet to initial all. But this one, you see the President pro tempore initial is not on the submission. Because after we read this, before they submitted this, Based upon that, that's exhibit 2. And exhibit 3, when we came to section, this matter was not on the floor. But the budget was not on the floor. And there was a motion. There was a motion to include the VAT on the agenda. And we received the report from our committee. But on that day, I have an official journal here for the 9th day sitting, which was the day we closed. We started section at 4:40 p.m. on Tuesday, April 30, 2024, while waiting for the people, the House of Representatives, to pass it and send it to us, because people are going, they are close to the skin day. And on page 2, we have communication from the House of Representatives submitting horses in growth bill number 2. And without any figures, as you can see. In the journal, they asked for the communication from the House of Representatives. It was read. After reading, it became part of the agenda. And Senator Abbott, when they asked for the will and pleasure, first of all, as read by me, the ceiling was $738,859,827 United States dollars, with $1 United States dollars to $211 Nigerian. Following the reading of the communication of the financial instrument from the House of Representatives, the President of the Senate entertained a motion to express the will and pleasure. And it was Senator Abbott who said this: move that the communication and the budget be received and sent to the Committee on Ways, Means, Finance and Budget Management and the PAC, while taking note that on today's agenda there should be a report from said committee, and the committee will take note of the horses and growth bills and advise plenary on its decision through its report. Automatically, the report of the Ways and Means came in because the former President Pro Tempore said that the report was already here. I'm reading the journal. Then they came up with a report for the Senate committee with a ceiling of $738,859,827 to cover the government's operation from the period January 1 to December 31, 2024. And this is what came out, the findings. According to the report, that the Honorable House of Representatives in its chamber on April 29, 2024, passed and forwarded to the Nigerian Senate in Gross Bill number 2 with no material changes from the working papers of the Joint Committee are summarized below. We could not put it because we never had it. The recommendation was that in view of the recognition of the current needs and priorities of the Liberian government to uphold public governance and focus on key deliverables, the Committee on Ways and Means Finance Budget recommends that the Liberian Senate in special section concurs with the Honorable House of Representatives on the passage of this instrument, which puts the national budget for fiscal year 2024 to $738,859,827 US at the budget exchange rate of $211 Nigerian. I just want to clarify here that this is not the way we present budget from one chamber to another. This is a committee report that was sent to the speaker that was later on sent to us. This is it. The committee report addressed to Speaker Konati Kofa. And that's the one that was sent to us later on. Yes, it did not come with a budget or reading the budget. It came later on. But with no signature, no initials. And going further, Senator Abraham Barros Dillon of Boston Oregon said, having listened to the reading of the report from the Waste, Means and Finance Committee, recommending the concurrence of this body with the House of Representatives on the budget, I move that the report be open for discussion, after which the appropriate action be taken. There was seconded and this. And it came up for debate. When it came for the debate, Senator Prince Moyi came up and addressed the Senate. At that time, the Vice President was the one presiding. Chair, please, will you please let me, because I have everything that can, that can see.
Just the important things in the 2 minutes. You have long time.
Okay. In fact,
I don't think it is important to see what Senator Moy said, what he said. I mean, we just need to understand. And please.
Now, what came from the house? What came from the house is this. One Senator, I have a copy for Senator Magid just gave me. They said here that the budget ceiling was $738,859,827 United States dollars. As I said, I assumed that they were in a hurry. But then they said revenue estimates. Here they said US $739,859,827. This is not a budget law, but it's a recommendation from them. We could not put it inside.
You concur with them?
So we close. We're here late when they said we should transmit the budget to the House. Where can we have the budget now? Both houses must work on the budget. I don't have the budget. Just before that, because it was so close. And the same thing that happened to the House in a hurry. I made my people to tell the letter and bring it for me to stand there almost 6 o'clock. And this is it. I communicated this letter without any attachment because we now had nothing.
Which letter?
The letter to the speaker.
Dated when, saying what?
Dated May 1.
Let him finish. Session on questions and answers. Just take notes on key issues that you want to see clarity on.
And we have concurred with them, the letter that we have concurred. But with no, you see when they came without any amount, we said to them without any amount. Yes, I call it as Exhibit 5. And Exhibit 6, when they presented, when the chairperson of both chambers presented the documents as a budget law, which is different from the committee report and their committee report, I asked that the two chairpersons who presenting this thing before presentation to the mansion, they should initiate. I'm not going to say anything that is not initial. So, Honorable Dixon Sibo, representing the House, initial. Senator Prince Boy, representing the Senate, initiate. So to attest to their signature, I decided to sign to initiate with the intention that my colleague, because I want to do that we are going to also initiate, which you did not do that. So this is what is printed in the budget book. Is this what we sent? signed by the two officers from there. And then we'll send them, they have to do the attestation. We don't do attestation because it did not emanate from us. When they did attestation, the speaker signed and the chief clerk signed and they sent to us. So I have to sign and carry to the vice president to sign. And he saw these things before he makes sure that he signed. He read the budget law with the 3 signatures on it. My signature, I just explained earlier. My signature, Senator Moy and Senator Dixon Sipo. As Exhibit 6. Exhibit 7, the Minister of State, Office of the President, on May 7, 2024, at 3:18 p.m., acknowledged that they have received the budget from the House of Representatives, but they are the ones who prepare it. But we asked for the copy, sent us the copy as Exhibit 7. Then, on May the 2nd, Exhibit 8, as we usually do, we wrote the the House of Representatives and read out. I present my compliments and by Director of the Liberia Senate Special Section, inform you that the Senate adjourned for the special session called by the President of the Republic of Liberia and by proclamation ended on Tuesday, April 30, 2024. We informed them. Now, as we usually do that, we are closed on the 2nd of May. So what we have here is exactly what was sanctioned by the both committees.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Attachment was signed, initial by them.
Now, at this point, we would like to hear from the officials of the Ministry of Finance. Will be joined by the person responsible for budget. We ask Madam Bronson, so please join the acting minister and let the Sergeant come quickly and administer both, please.
Alteration.
I move on the floor. I accept the Madam Chair, and member of our committee are candidate with this qualified.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. So the Minister of Finance acting and the Deputy for Budget, I'm sure this issue is not strange to you as the lead person on budget formulation and implementation in the executive, in following all the different lanes. Today we gather to establish the facts, and so we invited you to provide whatever information available to you, to this committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, like you rightly stated, have been well informed about the information and other, what we call it, news or rumors and others circulating in the mainstream and informal media. We've spoken at press briefings. We've appeared at the legislative hearing on the OSA just about 2 weeks ago. And we consistently stated that to the best of our knowledge, to our recollection, given all of the data and information available to us. The concept or the suggestions about budget tampering, budget alteration, budget shifting does not exist. Yes. Because given evidence being produced by previous speakers, the members and the Secretary of the Senate, and giving our own information, it has not been clear, neither has it been stated by anybody as to who did the shifting, the tempering, or whatever, but there are always been the budget was shifted. There must be a doer. So in one of my public appearances, I made this comment. I said, we know that the budget process is characterized by several intercameral interactions. Both houses of the legislature carry on interactions, some of which we are participant in a case where we are cited for official budget hearing, that the joint committee did, and in post-hearing negotiations, that we deal with representatives from the Senate and the House. Several times we met in the office or in the conference room of the House Chairman of Ways, Means and Finance, Honorable Thibault. And in most of these meetings, you were joined by the representative from the Senate, Honorable Doko. So all of the conversations that we had with the legislature, either as a formal body like a joint committee or an informal setting and negotiating on the post-hearing processes, the information, we have our own notes. But in order to be consistent with our public comments and our presentation to the House own specialized hearing committee, we will let to also come with you with the same set of information and the same justifications that characterize the realignment we did. So we have said we did realignment, and the realignment is consistent with the way the budget is executed. The Honorable Connor recognized that we are 11 sectors in the budget. So the ministries and agencies are grouped into 11 sectors. Budgets are executed by agencies, not by sectors. There is no allotment, there is no voucher, there is no check issued to sectors. These financial transaction instruments are issued to individual ministries and agencies on the authorization of their responsible authorities or land managers. So when the budget was sent to us after it has been approved by the president, in fact, as a matter of note, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, they didn't receive the approved budget until it was signed by the president on the 8th of May. The records are there in video, in print, and in photos. That is, person who received the budget on behalf of the executive, which is logical, was the legal advisor to the president. Because this is a legislative issue, it's a matter of legislation. But he did inform us that the budget has been approved. So when the president signed the budget, then he transmitted to us the handbill. So we waited till the receipt of the handbill before we can do the preparation to print the budget book. So we had to compare the draft budget, the structure of the draft budget, with the structure of the budget as approved by the legislature. So the structure of the draft budget should be consistent with the structure of the approved budget. That is, for example, if Ministry A has a draft appropriation of $100. Whatever adjustment the legislation make should be either plus or minus of that $100. By extension, as Oromo pointed out, sectors are the groupings of ministries and agencies based on the similarity of their functions. So when resources are being allocated, in this case by the legislature, to a given spending entity, it will have impact on the overall sector aggregate. But wherein, like in this case, the allocations were made by sectors and not by agencies, where the specifications were made, like in this case, for example, where the $1,050,000 for water and sewer, $1,050,000 for rural renewable energy was placed in infrastructure and business services. If you look at the budget book, those two institutions are in energy and environment. So you will note that the $1,050,000 was removed out of infrastructure and business services in the budget book, because in the budget book, which we all recognize, that is where they belong. They belong to energy and environment and not to infrastructure and business services. And we thought that this was just something that, because of the nature of it, because in common balance or in common conversations, people will regard electricity and water as infrastructure and business services. We recognize that. But in the structure of the budget, they are not in that particular sector. So the realignment has to be made accordingly. And so if you look up and down this list, and Madam Chair, I would love to share a few copies of this for the purpose of the committee. The net adjustment is 0 because the pluses and the minuses cancel out each other. But even if you go beyond that, if you want to be mathematically precise and say the absolute value, that means all of the minuses and pluses between within sectors, the net value of the absolute value is 1,5,127,660. So the mathematical value, just at face value of the shifting, adds up to 5,127,660 million. Again, like I have said, through informal conversations in the formal and informal media, we are head shifting figures of up to 20 million. Where did they go? We at the Ministry of Finance, we are seriously distressed with the tight space that we have to work with and the increasing demand. So where will 20 billion just suddenly evaporate from the budget, if I can put it that simply? So that is, we have the matrix there. The committee can take a look at it and we can respond to the relevant questions. And some other case, like in the public administration sector, for example, that we have to shift around 630,830. That was because resources that were initially programmed and spent by entities like the Ombudsman Commission, the EPS, were programmed under public administration. So we just took those amounts and put them to the sectors that those agencies are actually or structurally belong to in the budget. Now, with respect to some of the conversations leading to where we are today, especially with the finalization of the budget. So let me start with some clarifications around the treatment of the commercial bank resources. So, yes, the bankers have come to the Senate committee to negotiate on a number of issues, one of which was the treatment of their debt, and another one was the specific relationship between the central bank and some of the commercial banks. We got this information because we subsequently met with the Bankers Association at RB Bank. So,
3 more minutes.
okay, so I can summarize. So the information about the removal of 40 million, to the best of our knowledge, to the information provided to us by the Bankers Association, they said what they relayed to the senators was conversation that they have already had with us as far back as February in terms of the arrangements that they can reasonably accept. The initial projection for domestic debt, especially for the banks, were over 100, they were between 150 and 160 million. So in February, we resumed negotiation with them that there's no space to pay that much. So the entire amount that was in the budget, 69 point something million, were all on interest. There was no principal payment program for the commercial banks. So when the conversation came to us, we said, no, we cannot, because that was an arrangement that we already had with them, and they had even agreed for us to absorb some of the debt that contractors owe them from pre-financing so that we can pay the interest of all of those. So the 69 point some million was all on interest payments. So when the information came to us that there was some conversation going on to reduce domestic debt by 40 million, we began to negotiate first with the Senate and also discuss with the president. And the president agreed to convene a meeting. It was myself or the Controller, Accountant General, the Assistant Minister for Budget from the Ministry of Finance, and then the Speaker and the Pro Tem on the Saturday morning as referenced by Senator Moe. So to the best of our knowledge, the conversation was that there will be some reductions, but there were no precedents. So when the president gave the signal that he was amenable to reduction in the debt number for the bank, we came back to the legislature. Hence the meeting on a Sunday in the conference room of the Pro Tem. Before that meeting, we have met in the House Ways and Means Chairman's office. And we said, to the best, in order to be able to say something to the banks, we can afford, or we will propose half of the amount being suggested for reduction. That is around 20 billion. So we went in the Pro Tem's conference room, and the senators and ourselves, in fact, the senators and the representative from the House, because if I can recall, Honorable Sigo was also in that meeting. So it was like a small version of the joint committee. So we settled on the 20 billion. And we thought that was okay until the following day when we were told that OA has gone to the full 40 point something billion. So with that, we came back and were briefed on the information. We were briefed on that information by the legislature. So we had to go back to the bank and tell them that, well, we are told it will be 20 million, but it's now 40 billion. And that is what remained in the budget. It got reduced to 29 and some billion. And then briefly, with respect to, though it's not specifically related to this investigation as far as I know, the allocations to agriculture and other sectors, we also respond to the prevailing fiscal space that exists, whether domestic or external. So agriculture is one of the sectors that have significant external support. In this fiscal year, for example, there is over 50 million that donors are spending across all sectors, across various subsectors of the agriculture sector. So if you add that to what we have in the budget, that is significant resources. And similarly for health and education. So we took that into consideration. In order to balance the overall budget envelope, we had to or allocate the 8.8 million that is in the agriculture sector. So this is a summary, and we can take questions when required, and we'll provide the answer to the best of our knowledge.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Distinguished colleagues of this annual committee, other senators, listen to all the witnesses and our colleagues. You've made their presentation. We'll now take questions. We want to now take questions from the senators. Let's agree on the way we want to proceed. Because whether one or two committee members first, or give the leverage to non-committee members to ask their question.
Excuse me.
Okay.
They put me on a hold. I'm not the only member of the Waste Committee or the Public Health Committee. I'm placed on a hold. So what is on a hold? So I need to talk.
You are the secretary, and we're keeping most of the documents. So we thought that if there's anything that you need to do, you will be asked. Specifically. Yeah. Yeah. And you remain under that. So thank you, as I agreed that we allow non-committee members to proceed first. So let's start from the back. I think we should start from the back. See the committee members are in the front. Then we just move. So we can be. I know you are now. We'll get to you, please. Okay, so we'll start. You want to say something? Let me see the hand from the back, please. I just don't want to call people if they don't want to ask. Senator Boykin, ask. Senator Boykin, ask. I know your hand up. You will ask. I want to start from the back. So let's start with Senator Twain. From Senator Twain will come to Senator Stoll. Then Senator Taylor, okay, you're not there. Ask any of the people that presented. If you understand, you want to see clarity on the presentation, you just call the individual name or title and ask your question. Thank you. Any question you gotta ask, just be respectful that all. I don't think anybody will get annoyed. Thank you. Yes, Senator.
Thank you. These 2 days, we don't have first. What are you planning to do? My question goes to Senator Moy. It's very clear and straightforward. You talk about the second chunk of the $20 million, and the President gave approval to be moved to priority areas. At the time of the Senate working on that $20 million or whatever committee, was the two houses still in chamber and working, or one of them was closed? And if so, did the one that was closed had a meeting to pass onto the budget? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our document can the House passed the budget on the 29th. And like the minister said, at the time of the House passage, only 20 million of the domestic debt was generally agreed for it to be appropriated by them, reappropriated by them, because it's already in the draft, making the total budget figure to be 738.8. When the House passed the budget on the 29th, the records are there. It was transmitted. And because we're working as a joint committee, that's when the two leaders of the legislature met the president. And the minister said he named all those that are in that meeting with the president. And we thought that to move 40 million, like the regular put in, we were on the side of the team from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning because they are the technicians. So we didn't want it. So for some reason,
the president has to send a formal communication to us that, look, although the house has passed, but though you're working as a joint committee, I am sending this communication to my vice president to expedite it. It's on this paper. Please expedite the removal of the 40 million in totality. So it means the house passed on the 29th, and we concur on the 30th with the inclusion of this additional priority and other priorities that we have as a legislature. So that made it to 40 million on the president's side and 5 million to look at other infrastructure and other entity of government, making it 45 million. And the senator said it, Senator Kwane said it. So that's how this final working paper was done. Because the house has closed and there was a joint committee, so we made the house committee on Ways, Means and Finance to work with us to solve the impact on the redistribution of the last request. It is so that we initial, it means it was at their consent, and it was at the consent of this side, and that's how we reported it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to add up? And member of our committee can add up.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
So,
for the record, my chair has said that the 45 and Senator Kwane has said the 45. However, in the discussion with the issue of finance, there was a request for cost of capital, so we distributed back to the debt, so it was for the 2.7. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
What a laptop.
so another clarity that I'd like to see before I come to you. This redistribution was done after the Senate had passed and closed.
How would that be possible? That's why the president, being a former presiding officer, knew that the Senate was still in session.
Thank you.
Knew that, so the request did not come after the passage of the budget. It came before the passage of the budget.
Thank you. I just wanted that clear.
Yeah. Madam Chair,
Yes.
thank you very much. I just wanted to provide clarity to your question. The list that Chairman Moyi has shown with the president's inscription on it was on April 29, 2024, a day before we voted on the budget. The House did not vote on the budget on April 25th. I have a video, no, not you, that's necessary. I have a video of the House voting on the budget at 2 p.m. on the 30th. The president requested to the vice president for urgent action was on the 29th. Okay? It was based on this request that the legislative adjustments were made, which was voted on the 30th of April. We have clearly shown that the numbers changed after that and after that. I just want to provide that clarity.
Thank you. You're not yet recognized. Senator Smoke. So Dogo was recognizing race, his name, I recognize him. I wouldn't heard you talking across the floor. We don't want to do that. Go ahead, Senator Mali.
The reason why we put that in is because this was not the budget. Also, the reason why we put that in, we put that around almost 6 o'clock. Because we're waiting for the house to complete. So to say that the house has already closed, they will not honest to ourselves. Why do we vote it? When the 40 million asking from the president's office, the president called a special session on the 30th in the president's office and distributed all the allocations. And we waited. So to say the house closed, to say the house closed on the 29th, and we acted unilaterally on the 29th, it was suggest that the day the Senate close on the budget issue, the House can take a 40 million action on what the Senate input. That the argument making. But the reality is, on the 30th, we were waiting for the House to act. I want to make that clarification.
Just to further clarify that, you don't need a mathematician to do the analysis from the horses sector allocation and the final sector allocation that came here. So if you look at the House of Representatives passage as we all have, when you look at it and do your math, it will mean that the fiscal space that was created by them, it was less than 20 million. Do your math. It was less than 20 million. When I mean the fiscal space, it means that when you take 20 million from the 40, only 20 million was added to the 46 million that they reappropriated. You only need simple arithmetic to do that. You don't have to go to anything. So if you look at our sector allocation on this side, it will have considered the 40 million in totality as requested by the president. So nothing there to argue about. If we took the decision before the close, it will reflect all they are transmitted to you. That the 40 million was incorporated in the overall sector appropriation.
And I just 1 minute, 1 minute, please, 1 minute.
I want to focus on this is a video I will give to the committee of the horses deliberation on the passage of the budget in their chamber, with which we concur in your letter.
Thank you, Senator Conan. Let me just make this known. There are certain issues that we not all agree to during this hearing. But the committee will invite you people to committee room to provide some of the additional information we have about shortly. Thank you. So whatever document you have, recording, video, voice, just make it available to the committee. Will consider all of those. Thank you. Yes, Senator Snow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I just want to follow up on the finance ministry and the Committee on Ways and Means. You are telling us that you had a meeting at the president's residence on Saturday. And the president appropriated or made a request in the tune of $40 million. Do you both advise the president that it was a wrong decision? You advise the president, not a budget expert. Did you give the president justification that that action would have affected the overall implementation of the budget?
Senator, with due respect, the premise of your question was not my statement.
Okay, you can help me?
So what I stated was, when we started hearing, because our counterparts, our interlocutors were the members of the Joint Ways and Means Committee. So all conversations or suggestions and ideas coming from the legislature as to the direction of the budget process, we had it from these people, mainly Honorable Dixon Sibo and Honorable Duopo. So when the information got to us that there were suggestions emanating from the legislature that the amount that we have drafted for domestic debt payment, 69.6 or thereabout, we were over 69 million, that this amount will be reduced by 40 million before approval. We thought that that would not help us in the debt management strategy. It would also help the financial sector generally, because the commercial banks were already being stressed. They were under pressure from their boards, from their auditors, and they were having problems and a rate of their credit rating being affected. And knowing the role that these banks play in our economy, we thought that we needed to do as much as we can to stick with the initial agreement that we have with them, which is to pay interest in the amount of 69 and over 69 million and the principal will be rolled over. So when the compensation came up, of course, our principal is the president. So when the members of the Ways and Means Committee that were interacting with let us know that the legislature was more or less fixed on that position, we say, but then let's refer to our principal. That is how we requested for a meeting with the president. We first met him alone, and then later he convened a meeting with us and the leadership of both houses, the principal leadership, that is the leaders of both houses, the speaker and the pro tem. In that meeting, we put all the technical arguments on the floor, and these leaders will put all of the policy arguments, the need to prioritize various sector issues. So what the president indicated to us was that he was inclined for a reduction. So he directed us to come and negotiate. But there was no specific figure agreed on in that meeting. So that is where now the subsequent negotiation with the small version of the joint committee, because I say so because there were representatives and senators in that meeting in Orosimo's office. That is how we say, well, if the legislature is fixed on the position of reducing the domestic debt, the most that we can manage and be able to convince a bank is 20 billion. So then they say, okay, then let's go to the bigger audience in the pro tem conference room. In that meeting, there were even people or other senators and lawmakers who were not necessarily members of the joint committee, but they were interested. That included Senator Connor, Senator Finley, and etc. So it was in that meeting that from their side, they proposed the 40 million. We said, in fact, we actually started even from 15 million. And we kept bargaining until we settled on 20 million that afternoon. So that was our conclusion in that meeting. Now, it was later on that we got called that the dynamics has changed. That is when I was informed about the president's directive that Senator Boy has been displaying. So that came after our meeting with the larger body of lawmakers.
Thank you.
We take that into consideration. My last question, Madam Chair. There's some public.
In the response to what you have mentioned, and I just thought on
So let's set it out. Okay, Senator Snow, please continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm a little confused. Video footage in the public, and as displayed by Senator Amara on just now, the budget report from the from the clerk of the House, transmitting the budget to the Senate. It gives them difference from what the Secretary of the Senate is giving us. My shadow we took note of that, was very, very important. And then the Secretary of the Senate has informed us that the Senate transmission to the House was a blank transmission. There was no attachment. So in other words, the Liberian Senate that year and voted for a budget, sent blank paper, sent one letter to the Liberian, to the House of Representatives without any attachment. Can he clarify that one you just told us? That there was no attachment, you just wrote one letter to the Senate and said that the budget had been concurred by the Senate. Can you clarify that, please? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
As I said earlier, the communication that came from the House dated April 25
2023 and presented to us on the 29th instance, did not carry any budget law besides the engrossing, as I just displayed here, signed by the chief clerk of the House of Representatives.
So what was it saying?
That's why in the letter, it did not, in the letter of the House of Representatives, it did not state the amount.
So what are they saying, basically?
Let me read the letter. That's what's transmitted.
So why you didn't advise?
Nobody was here. And the committee said was still working on it. That was transmitted. Afterwards, before it's transmitted, a committee report that was sent to the speaker. I have no record that they sent the budget to us. What I received is a committee report that was addressed to the speaker by the House. And I have a copy ready. And this is the copy. And it's yes. The two committees, they were destined to clean it up and send it. So the clean copy is the one they brought, and I decided that I can not transmit it until it's verified by the people concerned. And that's how the two people initiate it, and myself who initiate it.
So what is the action?
On
The document is sent to open the House of Representatives. What was our action?
your action was because it came, we started around 4:40, almost 5 o'clock. It came here because you spent a lot of time inside the consultation. We're here when it came 4:40. The letter was all this, and we asked, they said they were going to send it to us. So that's how we brought it. And we are set to, with this, as long as there was nothing mentioned inside it, so I will not send them because we don't have.
It's very simple. You can explain what is the law coming away. We voted on a concurring with the House.
Yeah.
What can we concur on?
Okay.
Every the question let us know. If we concur, and we will concur on something, a figure, where is it?
You concur on the overall figure, but on the budget, on the committee's report, it was not a budget law. The city in the third did order. They did not send budget law yet.
Concur on the committee, the Ways and Means Committee for the House.
That's
Not
the
a plenary report, the committee report.
That's the one they sent to us.
On whose signature?
Under the signature of the chief clerk.
But it was sent to us.
Okay, that's what I said.
So you make something else.
No. So we have said to, we have to send
The people committee report is not going to see the main decision. They convey it to you through the appropriate
Senator, that's not the right thing to do.
Secretary, at the time you received the document, you did not dictate to this party that it was not the right thing. What we want to establish here, the document is the latest report on which we voted, right? Right? So, I'm making no complicated thing. This is a simple matter. Thank you.
The letter of grade 1, the letter of grade 1 in my hand, is that your signature? Is that your signature? The letter of grade 1.
May 1, I signed a letter May 1.
Is that your signature?
Yes. But it's not
What
attached.
that's what they're talking about?
Yes, no, May 1 to the speaker.
Because it's just the letter of the
Yes, it's May 1.
So he just want to Yeah, I'm coming from the back.
This is a copy of my letter, but not my submission. This is a copy of my letter. I told you that I sent a letter. And I see the yeah, the copy letter, but this is not my submission. I just told you that they brought a sheet, and the same thing will send it back because that's why there's no figure in both of us outside.
So you transmitted, you didn't attach anything, now what you telling us?
No, they did not give it to us. We need it.
So please bring your letter.
No, I think it is gone.
This letter, you say that your letter, read it. It's the same thing, please read it.
May 1, Councilor Jonathan Fogatipo, Speaker and members. On May 1, Honorable Speaker and members, I have the honor to present my compliments to my Director of the Liberal Senate in special section 4 year to attach Senate's endorsement for the houses endorsed bill.
Use your mind.
Honorable Speaker and members, I have the honor to present my compliments to my Director of the Liberal Senate in special section 4 year to attach Senate's endorsement to horses and gross bill number 3. And I to approve the national budget for fiscal period beginning January and ending December 31, 2024 to provide for the expenditure of the government of the Republic of Liberia. The above mentioned bill was concurred with by the Liberia Senate on Tuesday, April 30, 2024 at the hour of 1848 GMT, almost to 7. Please accept, Mr. Speaker and members, the reassurance of my highest consideration and esteem. No, no attachment.
What is it of that letter?
May 1st.
May 1st, the day after the concurrence.
Yes.
But there was no attachment, you just sent a single letter like that.
Because a single letter came to us with.
So what's the right thing to do?
Because we are waiting for the committee to give us the budget. I will not send
Thank you.
committee report is not the budget law.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have Senator Tobo to speak quickly. After that, we have Senator Delon, but he has to go to a meeting. We'll come back to the back right after Senator Delon. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just come because because this is a public hearing, and once your name come out, I'll be very clear on that. The minister raised an issue with the conversation informing him that we were going to remove 40 million. Yes, that is true. Because we're informed as a committee by Senator Cohen, who was the lead negotiator, that they are discussed with the Banker Association and the IMF, and they were inclined to making sure that happens.
Just additional information. The negotiation with the Bankers Association was done in the pro tem's office in front of other senators. So it's not like I went there and did the negotiation. No, you got to
Thank you very much. Everybody wants to that's great. Thank you. So we now have Senator Delon, and after Senator Delon, we'll go back to the back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few questions, very brief. Mr. Secretary.
Yes, Senator.
After your letter of May 1, transmitting the action of the Senate to the House, did you write a subsequent communication calling for a recall of the budget? Question.
No. My second letter was to inform them about the adjournment, which I have the May 2nd.
Let me repeat my question. You are on oath. The integrity of this institution is on question. After May 1, communicating our decision to concur with the House on the budget, did you write a subsequent communication to the House recalling the budget?
No.
Question.
No.
Madam Chair, the committee, please take note. I'm asking this question because it is in the public that you wrote a letter recalling our action from the House. No, I just want to settle on that. Number two, when you were presenting your documents, you talk about the protest signature on the one she signed. What did you mean? Did the protest sign letter or her initial is on communication, acknowledging that communication came as an approval to you to put on the agenda? When you talk about the protest sign or the protest signature here, what is suggesting? Did she sign a document on her signature or document came and she put her initial on it so that it can be an official document of the Senate for you to act on it on the agenda? Question.
Yes, as an agenda item, that's what she usually do. One president put them.
So is that communication that she signed?
No.
My last question to the Minister of Finance, Enter Senator Quinn Moyi.
Excuse me, Senator.
Okay.
And to inform you further, she initial only the invoice paid one page and they fought something. If there were attachments, she was going to initial
Which engrossment?
from the House of Representatives.
You said the Holy Senate.
No, the House did not send the budget law, as I said.
Okay. So what did
we
you
do engrossment and in the ways and means we put the law.
So when we concur and you signed in keeping with the protocol, and the Vice President signed, did the protect initial any of those actions?
No.
To say I presided over these documents, over these hearings, and this is what I presided over?
No.
She didn't initiate. Okay. So lastly, the question is to the acting minister and Senator Quinn Moyi. Is a budget author? Question.
Sorry, man.
The budget is not authored because if you look at the matrix are circulated, under the legislative approval, you have 738,859,827. And the delivered figure is in the budget book. So there's no alteration.
But you, Senator Moyi, you are a person of intelligence. Was a budget author? Question.
Thank you very much. Like I've said, the joint committee worked on the budget. And when you work on budget, there are budget working papers. I want all of us to understand that. The way 35,000 went to Youth Association in Grand Gide, the way 50,000 went to Kimon to, some kind of school there, it's not anything that the legislature did not approve. So that working papers of the joint committee have to be approved by the two committee heads because it gave us mandate that we should discuss the budget. Came to be as a result of a budget working paper, and the budget law should be initiated by the two joint committee chairs, and that's why you have in this budget book. So to my recollection, aside from what the minister said, that in the authority to realign ministry by appropriation into a sector, that he has made his clarification. But on account of what we did here as a legislature, under the leadership of the two committees, and under the guidance of the speaker and the pro tem, there was nothing like alteration. No, nothing. No, nothing. Because, and I'm making this point to be clear. Revenue bill begins with the House and ends with the House. So if there was alteration this way, quote unquote, the speaker signature would not have been on our budget.
Thank you.
the Honorable Daisy Sibo as a chair of the joint committee. Mind you, the joint committee have a joint chair, and that joint chair is the House of Representatives chairman on it because the strength of the budget is from the House.
Right.
So I begin the co-chair. So the joint committee chair approves all the budget working papers, and they are all in this budget book. So to the best of my recollection, there were nothing like budget alteration from this legislature. What I said clearly, I want to be on record. At the passage of the House's budget, the minister said it, only 20 million was agreed at that point in time, and they needed to pass and close. When we came on this side, the president had made a formal request to move 20 million, which was in line with our budget discussion. It was not after. And the president was very magnanimous to put the date. We passed the final budget on the 30th. It means that the president request for incorporated. So House had 20 and we had 40 on our side. And the joint committee came together to prioritize the president's priority in the budget that we all voted for here. So there's nothing like alteration that I know about.
So, after the both houses concur, the committees get back to work to clean the papers. I'm coming?
Yeah.
After the both houses pass, the period before it goes to the marshal, the both houses meet on committee level to clean up the papers. All right?
In this case, we have already worked on all the different papers, and it was just the matter of initial to get Senator Honorable Sibo as a joint committee chair to initial him first because he was not always here because they are close.
Thank you.
But it will work and we'll pass it here just to initiate to make it as an official document emanating from the joint committee.
Yes.
That was the only delay on maybe a day.
Thank you.
Because he was not here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, the budget go to the marshal and come and get question.
Senator John, that is not my knowledge.
Wait 1 minute. After we concur, after they cleaning the paper, after the clerk by procedure, the first transmitted the budget to the marshal, they come back to the legislature. Question.
I'm not aware of that. I would aware of the receipt that came from the marshal on the 7th.
I didn't ask you that question. Let me repeat my question. I have to be walking, going home, or going home, and some people who get carried on, who are off in basket and never know the criminal thing. It's people. And because of the misinformation in the public, so when I'm asking, I'm intentional about asking you. This thing is live on radio and it's in the media. The people saying, y'all went for the march, watch out for the march and brought it back here. That means law or author. Now my question again. Since the both officers could come on the budget, transmitted it to the executive marshal, was every call or brought back here without authority? The question.
I said no, not to my knowledge.
Which one, no or not to your knowledge? You got two answers.
No.
If you said no, it means you know. If you said not to your knowledge, then it means you're not certain. Which one?
I said no.
No. You honor oath. You honor oath.
Since the 7th, I received on the 7th, they received.
What did you receive on the 7th from where?
From the House of Representatives. Because we are not the one that carried the budget. We cannot call for it.
So what you receive on the 7th from the House?
It's a transmitter. It's a receipt issued by the Office of the Legal Counsel. That they have received.
They have received the budget.
Yes.
Say they went to the marshal, they not come by for them to play with it.
No.
Now, chair are you?
Thank you, Senator Zilong. We now take a question from Senator.
No, wait now.
Golo Kanen.
No,
Golo Kanen, go.
You are free.
So, change the proposal.
Madam Chair, my question is to Senator McGay of Activity County. Okay. Senator McGay, according to you, you said the budget for internal affairs was or is 20 million. But at the end of the day, 5 million was added. Did you receive any information that they withdrew this 5 million? Question. I see one another. I ask that question first. Then I will come back. You received any information that they withdrew the 5 million? Okay.
I think it's Senator, please. You will have your time to speak. The question to who?
To Senator McGay.
Oh, okay. Senator McGay, please.
What I'm saying is 25 million is allocated in the budget book. Where the budget bill says 25 million?
Yeah, I'm asking this question because as the Minister of Internal Affairs giving 25 million, will he be audited for the 25 million or for the 20 million, or what will happen to the 5 million is why I'm asking the question.
My point is, so the Moy can bring the working papers that was voted for. He read those institutions that was allocated for him to. He's not a work.
Not all. So I read all the different, I mean,
All the
schools, all
Sorry, Senator, what you got your time? And Senator McGay, you have to answer the question without directing at somebody. Please, ask your questions. I said I only extending documents that people have, including the working papers, were being summoned by the investigating committee. And we'll look at it. So just answer the question I gave you.
The question of my theory or my argument was that the legislature did not approve $1 million for internal affairs. And $5 million was allocated to internal affairs. What I do remember was allocated for health, $5 million. The internal affairs were now one of those institutions. What I said, and when you look in the budget, you realize that internal affairs current budget is $25 million. What I would do when I don't wait for people for that. Let's say we did not authorize the allocation. That's my point.
I just wanted to get that understanding. Hello?
There's no test.
I just wanted to get the understanding because we listened to the Minister of Finance, because now he is the Minister of Finance, when he told us that budget is paper. So I believe that since the money was not withdrawn from the internal affairs, let's consider it as budget is paper. That is a paper to us. It is not, that 5 million is paper. The new finance minister will take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Kumane. Senator Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson of this very important committee. I'll be very brief because some of my questions have already been asked by some other people. My first question, when we talk about budget alteration, it happens, in my view, when budget is approved either by the legislature or signed into law by the president, and then after that, there are some changes. Then that's for the authorization. My question is to our colleagues who made presentations or who made a case that this budget has been altered.
I want to understand, at what point in time was this project altered? After it was passed by the Senate or by the entire legislature, or after it was submitted to the president. That's the alteration I'm going for. And I want you to take note. Three persons, three groups. MFDP, the Honorable Minister, Senator Cornell, in his presentation, showed a chart showing columns of the budget. The draft, the approval of the approval for the legislature, and then the printed version. His case of budget alteration is that the amount approved by the legislature is different from the amount as printed in the budget book. I want you to confirm, besides the alignment that you talked about, sectoral alignment, if you consider the alignment, will that tie into the approval of the legislature, or can you say what makes the difference between what was approved by the budget by the legislature and what is printed in the budget book? I want you to account for that. The last person is the Secretary of Senate. Senator Dillon has already asked, but you honor oath with all the rumors and all these things, because the investigation started from that side, from our police. It was alleged that after the budget was transmitted, it was recalled, or there was a call. I understand Senator Dillon asked for written communication. But besides written communication, did you at any time make a telephone call to your police on that side to say, listen, no, from the house, the secretary, the clerk on that side, did you at any time, or not from the house, or maybe at the mansion, did you at any time make a call to say the Senate or the legislature? No. So, Mr. Madam Chair, those are my three questions.
No.
The first question to Senator Cornell and Senator McGee.
Senator McGee, I will start, maybe you can add. Senator Brown, your question is a very important question. And we are all on a road, those of us who have come to testify before you. Right. So we'll say nothing but the truth. Right. Your question has to do with whether at what point the budget was altered. I want to make it clear to the public that we are not arguing about the aggregate alteration, meaning the final number, the 738, right, because the budget is not classified that way. We have 11 sectors. The 738 is equal to the 11 sectors. When you add all of them, it is the 738. Right. The question here is, between public administration and commerce, numbers change. We understand the working papers. The adjustment or alteration in the budget. Let me finish, please. The question that I really would like for the acting minister to answer for me: how come are the sector numbers in the Budget Act the handbill that the president signed on May 8th, which is law, different from the final budget number on page Roman numeral SXI in the budget book. The president requests to allocate the 40 million came on April 29th. We voted on April 30th. Let's assume that we concur with something we don't know. I agree. Let me accept the main argument. We just said we concur, but we didn't know what we concur with, which is strange. Then it tells the public that this Senate doesn't know what it's doing. We must concur with something. Okay? So let's throw that away for the sake of argument. Then the president signed the budget into law that was transmitted to him, signed by the president of the Senate, the vice president, the speaker of the House, the secretary of the Senate, and the clerk of the House of the president, which is here in the budget book, in the symbol of the document. The numbers in that law are different from the numbers that the budget is being executed on in the budget. When did that change? This is where I'm lost. So to answer your question, that answer should come from the Ministry of Finance.
So on that particular one, then that's the Ministry of Finance that we're looking at.
Correct.
In this area now.
Yes. Because if there was any alteration beyond the president's directive to his vice president, the president of the Senate, to allocate the money before we voted here, then we need to understand what triggered that alteration from the law, the numbers in the law, to the book.
So the last question that's the Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much. To start off with, Honorable Kane, I didn't say, I don't recall myself saying anywhere that budget are people. Just to make that point. Oh, that another minister?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one.
Okay. Okay. So,
Confirming today that one appoint Minister of Finance.
so on the specific issue of budget alteration, quote unquote, if the Ministry of Finance had intentions to alter the budget, we will now place at the front of the budget the act of the legislature, which indicated the specific legislative actions and directive, allocating specific amount to specific sectors, and in few cases to some entities, like the case of water and sewer, for example. That content is there unchanged. Our position remains that allocations made to institutions, to ministries, agencies, and commissions that we drafted, submitted as draft, and to which the legislature made adjustment either upward or downward, also remain consistent in the specific content of the budget book. Now, to the course of your question about Senator Connor's tables that he presented, again, there were the diversions.
I'm sorry, Mr. Minister. I'm sorry, I'm not a committee member, but I want to just ask you one direct question. Why is the number? I'm coming. Why is the appropriation number for public administration in the budget at 257.3, and the appropriation number for the same public administration in the budget book 256.7? Who changed that and what triggered that? Because the Budget Act is a law. In the budget book now, it's different.
Senator, when you look at what you provided here, I think there's an explanation.
No, but
So the question they asked, I think we need to address that so we can move forward.
no, don't dismiss my question.
I'm not dismissing
Because
your
the matrix they have is their matrix.
So, Senator, what is the difference?
The difference is there's a number between the law
and the budget book, which is supported by this matrix, let the minister tell us who made the decision for this matrix, they or the legislature. The difference is more than 1 million.
What I'm saying, Senator, and maybe you don't understand me, is that he has already stated what happened here from his side. So the committee now, along with the Assembly, will determine whether it was right, it was his cup of tea to do that or not. But everything is stated here. So please continue with the question. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, like I said, again, to include your question, Senator Connor, that is the point of divergence. And that the chair mentioned, we have provided matrix, and we can provide even more detail because this is at a sector level. We can provide details at institutional level as to why the tables that you presented and what we have in the budget book are different. Like in the case of the specific question you asked about public administration, there are few answers there that we can provide. Say, for example, ombudsman, 100,000 was placed in public administration. Ombudsman is in transparency and accountability. 500K that was used by EPS was accounted for under public administration. EPS is the security and rule of law. And the municipal sector, there was an amount there for one of the municipal and local government entities of 38,000 is captured under public administration. That is under the net sector, municipal and local government. So those are some of the nuances that creates the difference between the table that you have presented and what we have in the budget book.
So, Madam Chair, what I want to get them to confirm or to establish is that the difference between what is printed in the book and what we approve is the sectorial alignment.
Exactly.
You can confirm with that.
Exactly.
Because we established that later on. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
And yet I want
No, it's not what I think we need to.
You want to ask questions?
No, you say they're referring to.
Yes, Senator Tyler is on the floor, but I'm
They're referring to that to kind of ask to provide some clarification on our.
different from what he said.
No, I mean, yeah, it's different. It's different.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, let me make it clear and to this committee that the decision, the budget decision is not only a Senate decision, it's a decision of the legislature, which includes the authority from which the budget emanated.